I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Ballara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you. Hi everyone, I'm Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Todd Silance. Todd is co-founder and managing partner of Summit Capital. His main responsibilities as managing partner include overseeing acquisitions, capital raising, construction management, and investor relations. Todd, I've had the fortune of knowing you for a little while due to a common mentorship group. But first, let me just say thank you for coming on the show today. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, absolutely, Jason. I appreciate being here and you opening this opportunity up for me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, why don't you start and just tell us about yourself, tell us your background. Like I said, we know each other a little bit, but pretend like I don't know anything because this is for people listening.
You and I have spoken a handful of times here, but as you mentioned, I'm currently with our company Summit Capital. But like a lot of your guests on this show, I didn't start in real estate. I didn't come at, going into school or coming out of school saying, hey, I'm going to get into real estate. I came out of school and got into the insurance world here about 20 years ago, looking into the corporate life, and kind of thought like, you know what, like everyone else or a lot of people, I'm just going to go through working a corporate job and maybe in 30, 40 years, go ahead and retire. But soon after coming out of school and really understanding the corporate world, I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is ultimately going to be for me, and started looking at what I could do and maybe some other ventures out there and that I'd be able to undertake to kind of move myself out of that corporate world. Now, it would be about 20 years until I could do that, but what I ended up getting into is looking into the franchising space for an Anytime Fitness, which is, and I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's a 24-hour fitness center that in my mid-20s ended up purchasing a franchise, open a franchise, and kind of doing that along with my corporate job in the insurance world. Now, eventually my wife and I, or I should say at the time when I opened it, we weren't married when we were getting into it, but we eventually got married, and my wife was an actuary and left her job to kind of work in our fitness business and work in the Anytime Fitness as I was still in the insurance world. And over time, we really the gym business did really well, and she was working in our franchise, and I continued to work in the insurance world and kind of different positions and whatnot. But eventually, I got to the point where it was time for me to do something different, and I was just looking for the change where I could have a little more freedom. I could have a little bit more time with my family. And it was about 4 or 5 years ago when I said to my wife, I was like, we go to and we meet a lot of other business owners through our other business that we have. And what there was a common theme that I noticed was that a lot of these entrepreneurs and business owners, not only did they maybe own a business or they were high income earners in their profession, but they all somehow either owned or invested in the real estate space. And it was something that I really looked at and wanted to, from a younger age, say, hey, it's something that I wanted to eventually get into, and maybe from a diversification of investments. But it was just, I noticed a lot of these professionals had real estate somehow in their portfolio. And it was, I think it was about back in 2019 or 2018. I had been working as a consultant with an insurance company. I was doing a lot of traveling in the Northeast at the time and being away from my family. And we had I had just come back from a training, a leadership and performance training that I was doing. And we left literally the Saturday after I got back to go on vacation, and we're traveling down to the shore. I'm located here on the East Coast outside of Philly, and we were going down to the beach. And I said to my wife at the time, I was like, you know, I need I need to do something a little bit different. I've been traveling too much, been spending a lot of time away from the family, and I've been doing a lot of research on real estate. And I said, hey, I think this is the opportunity for us. I wanted to start getting into investment properties, and whether it was owning myself, investing through some syndications, whatnot. I really started diving into it, and I told her, I said, give me 6 months to figure this out. I think if you give me 6 months to figure this out, I can move on, or at least attempt to start that journey to move out of that corporate job. And about 6 months later, I mean, I dove headfirst into it, and 6 months later, I was able to acquire our first property. And then from there, it's been a slow trickle, but three years later now, we've been able to move into a handful of acquisitions from our personal portfolio, as well as to our commercial portfolio as well. Now myself and my business partner have started Summit Capital, where we're really trying to work with other business owners, entrepreneurs, in educating them and providing them some opportunities to invest passively through real estate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I do know most of that story, I think, but you're right. It's a common theme in the sense that, you start to be around business owners, you start to be around, I guess, wealthier and wealthier people that enter your life. And it is that common theme that they're somehow involved in real estate, whether it's actively or passively. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Passive income is a nice thing to have. There's a lot of tax benefits. So I find a lot of people that come from business where they're generating a lot of income, or potentially have had the sale of a company, they've had a large capital event, and they're like, I got to figure out what to do with this money. So it's a good problem to have, to be sure, but also I think that your entrance into it is very interesting, because you have sort of a background as a franchise business owner, and what people maybe outside the real estate world don't realize is that these properties are a business, right? Each of them is a business. You have Summit Capital, that's a business, but each property has to be run as if it's a business. And so I think that your experience from that world actually provides a lot of value to you and your partners and your investors, in terms of, hey, I've run a business, like you and your wife. I don't know if she's involved with Summit Capital, but like that past experience always, I think a lot of times we tend to maybe downplay what we did before, and it's not relevant, blah, blah, but it's all relevant. It's all skill sets, it's all experience that you've built. Do you feel like that is the case? Do you feel like you're able to take some of what you learned and built previously and sort of bring that into the real estate world?
Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the things, that when we first looked at opening a business 15 plus years ago, was I could go out and open, Todd's company or Todd's gym or Jason's gym or whatever it might be. But one of the things that drew us to the franchise, and the franchise systems out there, we looked at a handful, was the fact that there's systems in place. There's a successful or proof of concept when it comes to that kind of business model. It's why they're able to franchise. I mean, if you've ever read the book, The E-Myth, right, talks about that a little bit, about systems and the benefits of franchise. And we knew back then that we were very organized people. My wife was an actuary at the time. I continued in the insurance industry, and we just said, hey, we want to look at, if we're going to operate and open a business, a system, something that's already been done, right? And it's a proven concept that we can then take and implement our systems inside the business. We can find the people, or put in the systems that how we want to operate. And that made us pretty successful operating the franchises or those gyms. That's also how I operated in the insurance world when I was working in that industry as well. Is, let's look at systems, not reinvent the wheel. So when it comes to transition to real estate, I look at that as well as any passive investment, or look at other operators, or when we started to do our own portfolio, was I'm not going to go out there and reinvent the wheel. Let me find the people who've already done this. Let me find the systems that they have in place to operate their rental portfolio. And I started out small. Like, I mean, I bought a single family home. Like my first year, 6 months after I told my wife, hey, give me 6 months to learn everything I can, I literally dove headfirst into going to meetups, just reaching out to anybody I knew, started small in my local market. And within the first year was able to acquire 3 properties. Okay, that's, but they're single family homes. But I was able to then implement systems in that business saying, hey, I'm going to start this rental business, or a company that's going to specialize in just small, maybe single family, small multifamily rentals. And then year 2 was able to scale that, get the people who know how to do it. I'm not, I don't know how to manage a property. I don't know maybe on how to underwrite, but I can figure that out, and I can find those who are experts at it and learn from them, and then put those systems in place. So that experience from the corporate world, as well as operating our own business, of using systems, that's kind of how I was able to scale this, and how I try to implement it now. And then that way, when we talk to potential investors or other operators, whoever it might be, I'm always trying to not only explain our systems or let them know our systems in place, but I want to learn from them. I want to learn, like, Jason, how are you managing, your buildings? What's your process? What's your acquisition process, et cetera? Because if I can learn from that and then implement it here, I'm all about the systems in it. And I think that's really big in our space now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the point of, sort of not reinventing the wheel, it people are doing it. People are doing it very, very successfully. There's no reason not to kind of, it's not to say do it, everybody does everything exactly the same. It's just look at what they're doing, look at the people who are doing what you want to do, and kind of emulate what they're doing while putting your own spin on it. So it's like, yeah, you don't have to think of it as, oh, I don't have any I don't have any of my own ideas or my own input to this. I'm just doing what it's not the case. It's just some people are doing it very successfully, and people are doing it successfully in different ways, right? So you might look to one mentor and find, oh, they're doing, this piece, and then look to another and they're doing it, this piece a little bit differently. And so you can pick and choose what you like, and sort of implement it into your own business, and put your own spin, your own sort of nuances in there to kind of operate it the way you want to. So it is probably, I think maybe people coming in might sometimes think it's so hard, it's overwhelming. What am I going to do? But you've already talked about a couple of different ways to sort of overcome those, I guess, limiting beliefs. But one is, you started with some single family homes. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, lots of people start there. That's great. Do something, right? You gave yourself that, in your wife, a reassurance of this sort of 6 months time period, and then you went to work. And so it's just like, I hate when I hear, sort of people worried about, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it, or I'm not, the limiting beliefs, and we all have them. I have them. It's not that, but it's easier to talk about other people's limiting beliefs and how we can help through them rather than my own. But it's true. It's like what you said is exactly it. Just get in, do what you're comfortable with, look at other people that are doing what you want to do and sort of emulate them, and then get the systems in place to scale to that. So it's a really, I think, very calculated and sort of business-like approach that you've taken to it.
Yeah, and you said something great there about take action, whether there's a time period. And I'm a big believer, and whether it's with our staff, staff at our gym or whatever, is that time, right? Time will never stand still. It's always going to move forward. And when people come in, and I can use the analogy through the fitness world, right? They have a goal, whether they want to lose weight or they're training for some event. And then if you just got to start. You just got to start and take action, because you could tell yourself, okay, I'll start in 3 months, I'll start in 6 months, etc. Well, that time will pass, and a year from now, you could be potentially in the same place where you're at. And if you just start, and it may take you a year, it may take you 2 years, but just start and start the path moving forward a little bit towards that goal. And you can ultimately achieve big things. And it's just small step after small step. And to the other thing you mentioned about, look at where should I start? Like I just, for me, I knew nothing. Like I just knew nothing. It's like, okay, let me go on the internet, and I found this, found some websites, found some forums, etc. Let me just go look at meetups. Let me just absorb as much knowledge as I can and read as many books as I can about this topic, and eventually was able to get my foot in the door with an investor who said, hey, I have some properties I'm looking to sell. And then from there, it was, let me get my foot in the door to some small multifamily. Where's those groups or those people that are in that space? How can I get around them? And then, I was able to get some mid-sized multifamily. And then it's just, slowly, again, I just keep moving forward and try to get in the next door, the next opportunity.
Yeah. And I do think that, sort of fitness example is very, it's a great analogy for business as well, because it's true. It's like Brandon Turner talks about this a lot, right? Like, if you want to be in shape and have a six pack, but everybody knows what to do, right? Everybody knows, but you need to actually do it. You need to put in the work. You need to decide, that it's important enough to you. And so, same thing here in business. Like, you need some of that knowledge, and I'm not saying that everybody knows what to do to have a real estate business, but the knowledge is accessible right now. Everything is very accessible in terms of information. Now you have books, podcasts, the internet. Like, there's all kinds of ways to learn, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're going to have to do something and to actually sort of achieve those goals. So I sort of go back to where you said, give me 6 months to figure this out. And it's like, it's not to say at the end of 6 months, you knew everything there is to know about real estate investing. What you knew is, what do I need to know to get started? Right. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, here's my time frame, and put some of those constraints on it so that you'll actually sort of make yourself do it.
For sure. And a lot of times you see it with the whole comparison trap, because you're starting out, I have nothing, but I'm reading and I'm seeing all this stuff through social media, through these forums. Look at these people, they scaled so fast, or they have all this. I'll never achieve that. And again, I hate, keep going back to the fitness analogy, but it's the same thing. People will come into the gym and they go, oh, well, I want to look like that, but okay, I'll never achieve it. But they started somewhere. You started somewhere. Whether it is picking up a book or whatever it might be. And for me, it was just, okay, I just got to pick up the book. I got to log in and to this website, and I'm going to read all about it on the Bigger Pockets forums. And then I'm going to go to some meetups, and then I'm going to go talk to this investor here. And it starts a single family rental. And then it goes to maybe a triplex of a 4-unit, then a 10-unit, and et cetera. And you just learn from it. You learn and build on it. From my first business 15, 16 years ago, in my my early 20s, to open up, I knew nothing about the fitness world. I just knew that I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to, okay, maybe own my own business. How can I do that? Well, let's just start doing some research on business out there. And then I realized, I don't want to start my own business. Why don't I go to the franchise space? And that's where, whether it's, a Dunkin' Donuts, a McDonald's, whatever it might be for someone, just, it may work for them. It may not, whatever, but just start somewhere, and then you can grow over time to, just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Cause it's not, where you start doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be how it ends up. You might start in, I know people that started in multifamily and now they do only self-storage or whatever. I know people that started as active investors and now they're only passive because they didn't like it. They didn't want to put that much work into it. But there's just so many different ways to make make yourself, or make something better of your life, basically, if you want to, right? If you see, I want something different, I want something better, and I'm not even talking like from a monetary standpoint. This is like, I want more time, I want, whatever it is, I want to be in better shape. All these things, they're there for you. You just have to go do it. You just have to decide that it matters enough to take that action.
1,000%.
Todd, tell me about, kind of, maybe tell us about a recent acquisition, something kind of where you're at in terms of your progression.
Yeah, right now, what I really love doing is, because we talked about like business, and we talked about systems and scaling it. And what we really like trying to do with our company now is providing options and education to busy working professionals, business owners, because since I'm still in that world of owning, we have a separate company that owns, the franchises, is what I notice, and as I've been doing this from my own personal portfolio, then bringing it to starting to scale and get larger apartment buildings when we can bring in investors, is I see a lot of business owners, a lot of busy professionals kind of say, "Oh, I always wanted to do that. I always would love to get into real estate, but I don't want to be the landlord. I don't know where to start." And I also find they love what they do. Like they love being a doctor. They love owning their own construction company, or they love being a gym owner. They work in the gym, or they own multiple locations and franchises, or multiple different types of franchises out there. They just don't know, okay, how do I get into maybe investing in real estate? So what we're trying to do is educate those professionals out there, or in my network, a lot of these business owners, to say, hey, you guys do what you want to do what you're great at. But just like diversification of, like, gym owners, they look at markets and go, hey, we're going to open up a gym. Well, you're not going to put 10 of your gyms in one market. Like, they're going to look at different markets. So we try to say, hey, you need to do that from a diversification standpoint, from investments. Think about your future there. And a lot of them just know the stock market. If we can provide them with an opportunity to invest passively in real estate, that's what we're trying to do right now, is let them know that I know what they're dealing with operating and running a gym, or a franchise, or a business, or even in the corporate world, because I was there for over 15 years before I left to really pursue real estate and my passion here. So if we can give them that opportunity, that's what we're trying to do right now. In regards to a recent acquisition, we're looking at a few different markets. We look with some other operators or partners, because again, as I'm talking to potential investors, we don't want to just focus on one market. We try to look at different markets that might be a good fit for them. We recently acquired that we're operating a property up in the Lehigh Valley. It's just outside of Philadelphia, so it's a smaller submarket of Philadelphia market there, where there's really good population and job growth. So you don't hear that a lot from the Northeast, right? You hear people moving out in New York, going down south to a lot of markets. But what we try to focus too is there's going to be those submarkets, those smaller markets, that doesn't matter what the larger city or the larger MSA might be. But if we're in a logistics hub, right? The Lehigh Valley is an area where you can, up here, there's a lot of manufacturing, medical, industrial, logistics up here. So this market, the job growth and the population growth is really strong. So we've been focusing there most recently.
That's great. And I mean, a couple of things that you talked about there, I think, that are really important to point out. One is, you said you're talking to investors. Well, let me use that second. You're using this time right now in the market. It's hard to find deals. Like, that's no secret. There's a lot of, like, deal flow is way down, just because of interest rates and what people don't want to sell if they don't have to right now. There's a lot of that going on. So deal flow is slow. It's not that there aren't deals. It's just there's a lot less to look at. So focusing on, and I'm trying to do the same in my business, focusing on systems or investor outreach or whatever, education, whatever you can in the meantime, is very smart. But you said something when you talked about sort of talking to investors and people, that you're educating about what you're doing, and you said, some of them love what they do. And I think that we do hear a lot about, in general, it's like, oh, I want to quit my job, so I'm going to go into real estate. That seems to be, for whatever reason, sort of a driving factor. And even within it, it's like there's this little club of how quickly did you get out of your W-2, like that sort of thing. And it's fine, like it's great if that's your goal, is to get out of your W-2 so that you can, and use real estate to do that. Awesome. But there's lots of people that do love what they do, and doesn't mean that they can't be involved in real estate. And passively is probably the easier path, but they can be also involved actively. But it's just something that kind of interesting to point out is I think a lot of times that people in the professions that they may already have a profession that they have a passion about, and they're again trying to find a way to sort of make their money work harder for them, and then offering them these passive investment opportunities is really important to and educating them about them is important to allow them to have that kind of forward-looking freedom that they might want.
Yeah, because you're right about that. There's just we're in it, and we talk like, oh, how soon, like you said, did you get out of your W-2? You were like 6 months and you were out, or whatever, 3 years. Okay. But that's just because we're in it, and the circle and the people we might be talking with and go into these meetings and conferences. But there's millions of people out there that want nothing to do with it. Just like, hey, they invest in 401ks and mutual funds, etc. But they're not going into like, let me go work at that company, or let me go be an investment banker.
Yeah.
And same when it comes to real estate. So if we can provide them that opportunity to just, again, invest for whatever they're passionate about, maybe it is for their retirement, maybe it is they do want to leave a W-2 and they want some passive income, but they want to go become, a fly fisherman, or whatever it might be. If we can provide that opportunity. I'm also of the mindset, that abundance mindset, where there's plenty out there for everyone. And when we're talking to investors, and you mentioned deal flow, you're still probably seeing deals in underwriting, but they've definitely slowed down. And in our business, I think relationships play a very large key in that, whether it's with brokers, whether it's with potential investors, whether it's with other operators, et cetera. There, you got to build those relationships. And right now, that's what we're doing. We're trying to build those relationships with the brokers or potential sellers, or even investors. But then for us, those business owners, that network that, if you want to say, I'm kind of in, as I talk to a lot of those owners, if they're ready to invest now, I'm not like, well, we don't have a deal, or we're not part of something right now. I'll gladly share that information, or say, why don't you go talk to Jason? I think you should connect with Jason, because just like diversification of whether it's stocks and mutual funds, investments, business, your markets, I believe that too in investing in real estate, especially if you're going to invest passively in syndications. Why not? You should probably invest with other operators, other markets, because just because maybe I have a handful of investments in one market, you might want to go look at, or I think you should go probably look at a different market. Don't put all your eggs in one basket there, one operator. Now, some people may go, no, I really love Jason and I think he's great, so I'm just going to give him all my investments. That's great too. But if for me, I'm not of the mindset of, we're just going to keep our investors, because ultimately, if I can help them out and they go to Jason, or they go to the next person, invest passively, the next time come around, it could be 6 months, it could be a year from now, they're going to remember, hopefully, oh yeah, Todd did put me in the right direction and made a really, really good investment, and they might be willing to invest with us in the future.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, we do a lot about, people talk a lot about we're offering opportunities, and how generous we are to have these real estate investments. And but the reality is if that's really what it is, then exactly what you just said is true, right? It's like, if I don't have a deal right now, and I had this literally just happened, like I had an investor reach out to me. He's like, do you have any deals? I was like, no, I don't, but let me connect you with people who do. So it's just it should be that sort of abundance mindset, and sort of sharing now, and that's where the relationships, your point about relationships is really important, because you also don't want to send them to just anybody, right? So you're going to send them to someone that you trust. And so then building those relationships with other sponsors that you might partner with on future deals, or you might just have this example of a investor that wants to place some capital, and you feel comfortable sending them to that person if you don't have a deal at that point. So I think it's a really great point about that, and kind of what the spirit of it should be, is that we are out to help the investors.
Absolutely. I think that's your number one, right? You are, especially as a GP or an operator there, you're taking someone's capital, and you are that steward of their capital, where if I'm referring them to someone else, I want to make sure that I can trust that person with their capital, and they're vetted, just like you said. So that relationship's important. And that's not just something, oh, I just met this person, they sent me a message on, Facebook or Instagram. Sure, yeah, here, go put your $1 million over here. It's going to be that relationship, that track record that person's had, that I know, hey, they're in good hands over there, and I'm comfortable with it. Because again, I'm not going to say, for someone who's looking to place some capital, just sold their business or has an opportunity, to be like, nah, hang on to it, I got something, and string them along. I'll be straightforward, very honest, and say, we don't have a deal right now. I don't have something open for you to place your funds, but I know this person does, and I would trust them. Or I've done it where, because I invest passively too, and I've invested with this operator, I invested with that operator. I put my own money there, so I would trust them, obviously. So go ahead. They have a current deal, go, or they have a fund even right now that we've funneled some people towards.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Well, let me switch gears, Todd. I want to get to ask you the questions that I ask each guest. The first one being based on the name of the show. So what is your why? What drives you towards success?
Yeah, ultimately, my biggest why, I think, is just that growth. I could be a better person than I am today. And by better person, it really boils down, if you said my why is truly family. But for me to be, to be a better father, a better dad, brother, son, etc., I always got to be growing, and I always got to be learning, and I always got to be moving forward, as I said earlier. So just keep moving forward for me. That's going to be my ultimate why. And that's really why I started this journey, how many years ago, was knowing that eventually my wife and I would have a family, and what could we do, whether it's start our own business, to make sure we could have the time and the availability as we started to raise kids, and that's really led us on this path and kind of drives me every day.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that sentiment. Tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge, special skill, a hobby, just anything you're comfortable sharing with the audience to know you a little better.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a special skill. I love to golf. Now, I wouldn't say I'm good at it, but I just enjoy being outdoors, and skiing right now. Again, skiing's come winter time. We love as a family to go skiing, whether it's up here in the Northeast, which sometimes isn't the best, or if we're out west, we go out west for some skiing as well. So that's kind of our biggest hobbies. And then again, as I've already talked about, being in the health and fitness space, we're big advocates being outdoors. We did in the past have done a lot of those obstacle course races. Have you ever Tough Mudders? And
I love those. Those are
they're great.
Awesome. Those are I've done a bunch of different, like when you get out of college, if you're into athletics in high school and college, you get out of college, like there's not as much for I did track throughout, and I was a sprinter. It's like there's no old guy sprint competitions. Nobody did that. That's
right.
not a thing anymore. So I started to get into the running. I did some marathons, but I never really enjoyed it. And then I don't know what the first one I did, like a Tough Mudder or something like that. And I was like, this is a blast. This takes your mind off of that you're just running for miles and miles, which is what the monotony of marathons and stuff like that. It just gets to me. But yeah, put some fun obstacles in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Totally breaks it up. I know what that means. Tell me, hey, go run a half marathon or something. It's like, oh man, really? But throw in some obstacles. It's not like that major of a competition. Right. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Suddenly it just becomes like a fun thing to do with friends. When people hear this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
Yeah. If in regards to the real estate, if anyone wants to connect, I love connecting, meeting up with people for whether it's coffee, meeting, a Zoom meeting like this or something. They can reach me at todd@summitcap.co. Or if they want to reach and talk about business, the fitness world, other investment opportunities, whatever, I can also be reached at todd@silanceinvestments.com.
Okay, cool. And we'll put those in the show notes. Final question for you, Todd. What's a piece of advice you would give to someone who is getting started? They want to get into real estate, follow in your footsteps. What would you tell them?
I would say just keep moving forward. Just take one step at a time, but just start. And just whether it's picking up a book, whether it's going online, reaching out to someone, because time will pass. Hey, I'll start in 3 months or 6 months could turn into a year, 2 years, etc. So just start, and it does not matter how long the journey takes. If it takes you a year, it takes you 2 years, but as long as you're moving forward, just keep doing that.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great piece of advice. Well, listen, thank you, Todd, for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time. I really am glad we can get your story out there. I think people are going to love hearing what you've gone through and your journey into real estate. I think it is really pretty motivational. So thank you for taking your time and coming on.
No, thank you, Jason, for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
Awesome. And folks listening, I know you're going to love this episode. Please like, rate, and review so we can get more great guests like Todd. All right, have a great day.
I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Ballara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you.